Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I'm OhBSmall, and today we have another deck discussion for the tournament. So this is still for the first week of the tournament, so it's round one, and I already played. I want to mention up front, it's meant to be that you watch the gameplay first before this. If you don't care, that's fine, but I am probably in about 15-20 seconds, I'm going to say the results that I had against Juggernaut. So this is meant to be against Juggernaut, just like the Psylocke deck. And I'm going to mention the results in both, like right away here up front, and then I'll start talking about the deck. So if you don't want to hear this and want to watch the gameplay first, this is the time to stop this recording. Okay, so I played 3 games against him. So 2 practice games. We're allowed to play some practice games first, and then 1 real game. In all of the games, I was able to get a clean victory. So we get more points. The maximum points we can get is 10 points for a victory. And you get -1 if there's any threat on the main scheme. Also -1 if there's any minions or side schemes in play for each of those that are in play. And so I got a clean victory in all 3 games, including the official game, which was the 3rd one. The first game was the most challenging of them. I lost quite a few hit points right off the bat against Juggernaut. Ended up with like 2-3 hit points, a lot of times around 5, and then he'd get this card that deals damage equal to his attack, and he'd do like 4 or 5 points of damage. I'd be down at 1. Like the very first game, I ended up at 1 point a number of times. So then I played a second game, did much better against him. In both the second game and the third game, I was pretty dominant with this deck. Not that the games didn't take a long time. You'll see that the official video, the official game, it did take quite a while to beat him and to make it that super clean, 10-point victory. But it did the job. It was, Psylocke is a much faster deck to play with, much more, can do a lot more damage. But this is more, but this deck, eventually in my second and third play, as I got better at it, it was more, it was very much a very good control deck, keeping Juggernaut under control for the most part throughout the game. So quick notes about these. If you already know this stuff over here on the right, you can skip this part of the video. I'll have timestamps as usual. So first of all, this was based on a limited environment draft tournament that I did with these other content creators, Solo Marvel Champion, Facing the Encounter, Jacen Sketch, and then of course there's myself. And then all of us had our own draft picks, so that means we all have a different limited environment. So we all include the core set, of course. We all had 2 campaign expansions and 8 hero packs. My 2 campaign expansions were Next Evolution and Mutant Genesis. My 8 hero packs were Psylocke, Storm, Wolverine, Iceman, Magneto, Black Widow, Phoenix, and Rogue. And then here are, I'm not going to go over how the points work. I kind of mentioned it already, but you can just pause this right here if you want to read about those points. And again, this deck was specifically built to go up against Juggernaut. Like I chose Psylocke, I chose Iceman for the reason of being able to hopefully be the best ones to go up against Juggernaut. So as you can see, it's a protection deck with 41 cards. And let's go ahead and start off with the allies and why I chose them. So armor's in here, to be able to get that toughness. And, Juggernaut gets like he starts the game with Overkill and Stalwart. And your goal is that's when his helmet is on, and your goal is to be able to spend 3 resources. Well, one of the ways you can make it easier against him is you can get rid of his helmet. So you'd spend 3 of the same resources, and you'll be able to flip his helmet, and then he no longer has Stalwart or Overkill. And so, but while he does have that Overkill, having somebody like Armor, who has a toughness, and just putting him out there, like when you watch the gameplay, you'll notice there'll be times when I just had allies sitting out there not doing anything. They're just ready to defend. Armor being one of them. Beak for that very nice threat removal because, for each X-Men ally in play. And all of these are X-Men allies except for Nick Fury. Nick Fury's in there for the card draw, but also possibly some, finishing off a game with some damage. Colossus, another one with toughness. Forge to help get into play, to get into your hand the X-Jet or Utopia, and of course then get them into play. I might as well mention, and we also have team building exercise for the other support that in this deck. And then let's see, we had Forge, already mentioned Nick Fury, Nightcrawler, one of the ultimate in safety. As long as you have at least an energy resource in your hand, then you can completely prevent all damage to an X-Men character. So that's meant to be for emergencies, but also he has 2 attack and 2 thwart, so that's a nice benefit when he first comes in as well. Then we have Polaris, again, can get a tough status, including just put the tough status right on Iceman. Professor X, in order to confuse the villain. Shadowcat, mostly for the good thwart, but can get around a side scheme, so that you can be able to get rid of the thwart that you want to. And then we have White Queen, really nice to get rid of status cards, especially like when you're facing Juggernaut. He does get tough statuses pretty regularly, so really nice for getting rid of that. And then, and actually, Iceman can possibly get stunned. You can get stunned as well in this deck versus Juggernaut, so White Queen can help you get rid of that too. And then for the events, I got 3 copies of Preemptive Strike. So this is really nice for making sure that Iceman takes little to no damage already because of his, what are they called? Frostbite cards, right? So those can significantly decrease the damage. So the goal is to attack the villain as many times as you can to put those Frostbite cards on him, defend against him as many times as you can to put those Frostbite cards on him. Or basic defense and basic attacks, but also is you have your other cards that all do that too, like Chill Out, or if you put Frozen Solid. So that's one of my main goals too, is get Frozen Solid on the villain as many times as possible, which will then not only prevent the villain from activating, but also will then put another Frostbite card on him, and that especially becomes important when you're playing Expert. When you're playing against Expert Juggernaut, when he goes to his 3rd round, it's really nice having a whole bunch of Frostbite cards on him, because he gets this, what is it called? Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. It's called Head of Steam. So this gives him Retaliate X, where X is the number of momentum counters on Juggernaut. So you definitely want to be able to flip his helmet over to the other side where it's like Juggernaut exposed or something like that, and that gets rid of the counters. But when he first goes to his stage 3, he gets Head of Steam and he flips back over to his helmet, so he has overkill. So he gets another, and he ends up getting another one of these momentum counters because of this card, and so he can get retaliate 1, 2, 3. He can get a big retaliate on him. But Iceman can do something that nobody else can because of being able to decrease the attack of the villain. And that is, you have this hero response. After Juggernaut attacks you, spend 1 resource for each damage dealt by that attack, then discard this card. I have literally had it happen where I had his attack. So even though he would have naturally had a 5 attack because he has 4 attack on his stage 3, just naturally, and then he gets one of this momentum counter, so he has 5 attack. I literally had him have 5 attack and deal absolutely no damage, both because of the frostbites on him, but also when you defend with your hero, that defense also decreases the amount of damage dealt. So it's not that it prevents it, it actually decreases the amount of damage dealt. So you can end up paying 0 for the cost and get rid of this card. So that was really cool doing that. With Psylocke, sometimes I didn't even bother getting rid of this card. But with Iceman, that was a big part of my goal, was to actually get rid of this card for little to no cost. All right. And then heading back to the deck here, So what also helps to decrease that cost are these preemptive strikes. So when a boost card is turned face up while the villain attacks, cancel all the boost icons on that card. Plus, you can then deal 1 damage to the villain for each boost icon canceled this way. So these cards can also guarantee, and especially have XJet. If you have XJet in play, it makes it easy to play this while you're on defense. And so, so you can go ahead and guarantee that you're not going to take damage when you're defending. Okay? That also becomes important because of having an unflappable in the deck, so you can get card draw from that, in addition to already being able to get the card draw from cryokinetic perception. And then, but it also benefits Indomitable. So notice the wording on both of these. Unflappable says, after you defend against an attack and take no damage, exhaust Unflappable and draw 1 card. That does mean you actually didn't have to defend with Iceman with his basic defense. You could have done it with the preemptive strike, because this still counts as defending. So, but that also triggers Indomitable, right? So this is an upgrade that you have out in play, and you can have multiples of them out in play. Has this response: after your hero defends, discard Indomitable and ready your hero. So you could have defended, done a basic defense, but also you might have already been exhausted. That definitely happens. Sometimes Juggernaut will attack you multiple times, and so you might already be exhausted. But if you play Preemptive Strike, you could then still defend, and then you'd be able to trigger Indomitable, discard this card, and ready your hero, and have him ready to go when you're back on offense again. So these combinations can be really nice. And then we have a player side scheme, Superpower training, meant to get cryokinetic perception in play. But when you watch the gameplay, you'll notice that cryokinetic perception was already in play. And so I was able to use it instead to get frozen solid, on Juggernaut again. And then for the resources, got the usual doubles, and we also have the power in all of us to go with, of these, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 allies, plus team building exercise, the XJet, and Utopia. So 10 targets for the power in all of us. So those cards work nicely in here. And that does cover all the cards, right? So this deck, like I said, specifically meant to go up against Juggernaut and help to decrease his overwhelming attack that he can have, so that he's not as dangerous when he does have. So it's not as easy with this deck. With Str0ngstyle deck, it was really easy to just flip that helmet over so that Juggernaut was exposed, and then he was rarely able to have overkill attacks against me when I was playing with Str0ngstyle. With this deck, it was a little harder to be able to flip that over. Although it was really nice when I was able to do that pretty regularly, and in my official gameplay, I was able to do that regularly with this deck. But it was harder to do that with this deck. But you still had a measure of safety because of decreasing his attack regularly and keeping the game under control that way. And having all these allies really helped to, Iceman only has 1 thwart himself. He does have 3 thwart events, so that actually is really nice. But having all these allies out here to help take care of that threat, and also take care of any minions as they come out too. Okay, there we go. Hope you enjoyed this deck discussion. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I love having discussions with people in the comment section. So I'll catch everybody next time. And that's it. So for my first week, I got a perfect score for both. So that's 10 points for the Iceman battle, and then also 10 points for Str0ngstyle. So a total of 20 points for this week. Off to a great start. Very happy with the decks so far and the games. All right. Have a great one, everybody.